All right, let's talk a little bit about fitting crutches and how we can walk with crutches. These are some important pieces of information after a lot of different injuries and surgeries. Now, crutches are going to be recommended for people who have decent balance, decent strength, and can coordinate all of it. If you need something more stable, something like a walker is great. Or sometimes this even feels like too much, and having a cane feels more appropriate. If you're somebody who also is going to be using crutches for a longer term, more than just a few weeks, there's a different kind of crutch called a loft strand crutch or a forearm crutch that is sometimes a little bit easier to use, frees up the arms a little bit, but they're not typically used for people for short-term basis. Let's talk about fit first. When it comes to the fit, a lot of times our crutches are going to have some sort of height numbers on here to go off of. It's a great way to at least get you in the right ballpark, but then there's fine tuning that we may need to do. So look at what's on here, consider what shoes you're wearing if that's impacting the height that you need to have it set at, and make sure that we're in that ballpark of your height with your shoes. So let me make that adjustment here. One thing to note, these typically have pretty standard heights. So for example, this is just a normal adult size that goes from approximately 5'2" to 5'10". So if you are taller than that, you would need tall adult crutches, or shorter than that may need either short or pediatric crutches. There are some crutches that can have a variety of different heights on them, but they tend to be a little more complicated to adjust as well. So what we're going to do, I have it at something that maybe is in the right ballpark for my height and the shoes that I'm wearing. I want to stand with these out just slightly, so they're out at about a 45-degree angle between completely front and completely side, and at least a couple of inches out in front of me. So now that I'm standing there, I want to stand up nice and tall, not slouching and looking, because that will affect fit. Standing up nice and tall, if I take my other hand, I should be able to fit 2 or maybe 3 finger widths of my own finger width between my armpit and the top of the crutch. If I can fit more than that, I'm not going to have enough support along my ribs, and it's going to feel like a lot more work. If I have less than that, it's going to feel like it's digging up into my armpit and can even start to irritate the nerves that go down into my arm and contribute to things like tingling or numbness, or even pain into my arms all the way down to my fingers potentially. So that's why we like this 2 to 3 finger widths between the armpit and the top of the crutch. So now that I'm feeling pretty confident in that fit, I want to check where the hand pads are. With my arms hanging down, they should be at roughly the crease of my wrist. So for me, I'm feeling like the height is pretty good, but the height of this for my hands is maybe a little bit low. So I could play with it, potentially move it up a level, but it's looking pretty good, and I'll know more once I start moving with them as well. So now let's talk about how we walk with the crutches. All of this is going to depend on what sorts of precautions you have for weight bearing, or if there's anything of, you can't put weight through your heel or through your toes. Different surgeries may have different restrictions when it comes to even where the weight is being placed in the foot. So let's start with perhaps some of the easier options. Let's say that you're allowed to put as much weight as is comfortable or as much weight as you want through your leg. We'll say that my right leg is the one that's needing a little bit of help right now for whatever reason. I always want to think move the device and then my foot, or move them together. And it's always going to be the leg that's the affected leg moving forward. So that can come together like this, or I can do it separately where crutches go first and foot goes second. To show you that from a different angle, I can go everything together and walk forward, or I can move the crutches first if I want a little more stability, then move my foot and then walk through. So that is if I'm feeling like I have pretty decent balance, I can put as much weight through that leg as I want. That is totally fine. Some other options, sometimes you'll hear things referred to as touch down or toe touch weight bearing. Basically what that means is that you can have your foot down or your toe down, but you're not actually putting any weight through it. You're putting all the weight through these hand pieces on the crutches. One of the visuals that I like to use for this is imagine that you have a pack of saltine crackers under your foot or a raw egg under your foot that you don't want to smash. So you are allowed to place weight there, but that is it. It's going to look very similar though. I can do exactly that same pattern of moving everything forward or move the crutch and then the foot, but the difference is so much more weight is going through my arms, and I'm trying not to put any additional weight through my foot as I'm passing forward and step forward onto my other leg. So it's hard to see the difference, but I can definitely feel the difference because my upper body's working a lot harder. Then we have non-weight bearing, where we can't put any weight on that leg. So with this, again, crutches are going to move first, and then I put all of my weight through those crutches and I hop my other foot forward. I like keeping this foot backwards to keep it out of the way, although technically you could hold it up this way too if you wanted to. So same exact thing, hop forward, or if you look from the side, hopping forward. When it comes to stairs, we have some different options as well. Now, when we're doing this, if you have a handrail that's sturdy, that is always a great thing to hold on to, and then have the crutches on the other side. There are times where we may have to do, crutches on both sides if there's nothing to hang on to, but default to a handrail if you've got it. A couple of ways that we can hold the crutches. One way is to hold through the hand pieces through the crutch like that. That way it almost becomes sort of like using a bigger cane of sorts. Some people will try to do the up and over and hold. That feels really awkward on my shoulder and everything. I'm not a fan of that version. On stairs, we can also go sideways like this if you need to manage your own crutches. So even if you keep your hand like this as you're going up the stair, for example, you can hold on to the handpiece of the crutch that's in the regular position, and we just turn the other one 90 degrees to be able to hold on to it. And just make sure that you're watching out for anybody who might be around you, or say you're on stairs that maybe have a curve or a turn on them, to make sure that you're not going to run into something. But then I would be using a handrail with my other hand to use the stairs. Whenever I'm using the stairs, no matter what the weight bearing precaution is on this, whether I can put weight or not, I always think about leading with my strong leg going up and leading with my affected leg going down. Now you may be thinking, something sounds weird about that. Why would I go down with the leg that's painful or that sort of thing? The reason is this. By using this method, going up with the strong, going down with the affected, allows us to use our strong leg as much as possible in both directions. So when I'm going up a step, if I lead with my strong leg, I'm able to use that to help power me up through basically a single leg squat. And then coming back down, it's a similar thing. As I'm leading with that affected leg, I'm controlling my descent with this other leg, rather than feeling like I want to kind of plop because maybe this other leg doesn't quite have the strength or control to be able to control me descending down a step. So up with the strong leg and down with the affected leg. Those are just a few tips and tricks when it comes to fitting crutches, ways that we walk with a crutch, and then ways that we even manage stairs with crutches. If you have more questions than that, make sure that you're working with a physical therapist or somebody similar to help give you some more guidance. If you're having some discomfort using your crutches, check your fit, have somebody check your fit for you. There are some different ways and different pads that you can get to replace these, both up on top and on the hand placement. So, get something that's going to be comfortable and not cause other problems for you while you're rehabbing whatever's going on in the first place. Hopefully, this gave you some great information for managing crutches.